My name is Jhai Keeton and I'm from Moss Point, Mississippi. I'm a graduate student here at the great University of Southern Mississippi.
So what brought you to the point of going back to school?
Good question. A series of things. I think part of my long-term strategy was to have an MBA before I was 35. That's what I told myself when I chose to quit corporate America. That was back in 2012. I went through entrepreneurship. I played in politics, ran for mayor. So as I began to deal with commercial real estate and deal with economic development from a public perspective, did I understand the importance of me coming back and being formally trained. So once I didn't win the mayor's seat in Moss Point, I wanted to come back, get formally trained, and kind of understand how this thing really works outside of me playing the economic development, commercial real estate game from the private perspective. I wanted to come learn it from the public side.
So what would you say to people who are in your situation, who are considering going back to school?
You got to make a way. So, I'd encourage it. I think that sometimes, I think one of my uncles said, go out, get about 5 years of work experience, and then go back and get your master's. I kind of would probably hold true to that. No disrespect to you guys, but you have a better understanding of what you want to do, and it's a different level of commitment. So some people in master's program that come in right after undergrad, they might kind of feel like it's just something I need to do, and you still yet don't necessarily know what you want to do. For me, I know what I want to do. I came here with a plan. Looks like I'm going to be able to successfully execute that plan. And I feel like as I'm interviewing and having conversations with people in the job market, they respect my experience. And so I can go and play the game a different kind of way. But doesn't mean other people can't be successful. It's just a different strategy.
All right, so let's talk about the classwork through the master's program a little bit.
It's a little tricky. So the classwork is pretty interesting. I think that the class I'm enjoying the most is going to be land development. So this was that real estate and land development. Because I think that's what brought me here is, being able to look at my community. I come from a small town, Moss Point, Mississippi, that has been heavily underdeveloped over the last 40 to 50 years. And to be able to move around the community, look at land, look at what you want to call dilapidated properties, and understand not just the market potential or the potential uses, right? But understanding the business that goes behind that. So understanding property values, understanding appraisals, understanding the different public ways, tax incentives that you could use to develop those properties. Learning about Brownsfields, learning about Gracefields, learning about the different partners that go into development, right? Learning about historic properties and how to develop historic buildings and the public funding that's available for that, and what all those different partnerships look like in revitalizing and reinvesting in your local communities. So I'll probably say that's been my favorite course. One that was probably most beneficial would be the data analysis course that we did. I like data. I'm an accountant by trade. So to learn how to use software like MC and Gazelle, and to be able to look at regional comparisons and occupational comparisons and industrial comparisons, and to see, is one thing to go in the community and look at it and draw your own conclusions based off what you see, but it's another to actually be able to look at the data set, to look at the numbers and quantify those numbers, and then to create a narrative around why those numbers are what they are. And that's what I feel like a lot of smaller communities don't have access to. And that's why sometimes their efforts might fall short. Is because they don't have access to get a holistic perspective of their problem, to in turn then be able to create a long-term strategy to address their needs. So you might have an issue that at face value, might really be a $20 million issue, but you keep throwing $2 million at it. Instead of saying, I'm going to invest increments of $2 million, understanding that we got to get to a $20 million problem. So I think that, that'll probably be one of the more valuable courses that I took here at the Trim.
So how's your experience been with classmates who are considerably younger than you are?
I think I needed it because, I don't think that I'm too old. But I think right now with the conversation going on between millennials and baby boomers and the intergenerational conversation that we're having, you can segment the generations or the age groups, right? So whereas I might feel like I can't relate to, I might need to build a relationship with a 50-year-old, I'm just now coming into a space where I have to be open-minded that I'm not the youngest guy in the room anymore. So that there are people that's 20, 21, 25. It goes by fast. I remember when I was, it's kind of hard to believe that I'm not 25, I'm not 27, I'm 34. So I appreciate the experience because you get a chance to kind of learn and be open to the perspectives of a different generation, right? And I think that that's a model that all of us across multiple generations could use to kind of just be more open-minded about change and transitioning leadership and working together and respecting different perspectives, because inexperience has some experience in it, right? Because when you don't know, you're more willing to explore and question. And I think that when you consider innovation, that's what innovation is, right? It's exploring the unknown. So those who have experience shouldn't predicate their experience or value their more experience than somebody who is inexperienced, because there's value, if you look for it, in that inexperience. So I think for me, being around younger people and kind of listening to their perspectives and their backgrounds and just their overall understanding of life, and being able to kind of give advice where I can and listen and learn in other places, it'll be a lifelong lesson for me. Yeah, I'm grateful for the experience.
It's been great, man.
Yeah, man.